And that's not all. As president, some of the initiatives I'm most proud of are ones that increase my country's engagement with the next generation of leaders like Angeline and Jerome and all of you. Leaders in government and civil society and entrepreneurship and the private sector. "4 years ago, I launched an initiative called 100,000 Strong in the Americas. And the goal was to have 100,000 US students studying in this region, and 100 000 of this region's students studying in the United States by the end of this decade. And we are on track to meet that goal. So today, to build on that progress, I'm proud to launch the Young Leaders of the Americas initiative right here in Kingston. Let me say this. This is not your traditional exchange. We're going to seek out the most innovative young entrepreneurs and civil society leaders in the Caribbean. Latin America, and we're going to give them a chance to earn a substantial continuum of the training. And the resources and the connections, the networks, and the capital that you need to make a difference. So this year, we'll bring 24 entrepreneurs and civil society leaders from Latin America and the Caribbean, including young Cuban leaders, to the United States. Then next year, we'll increase this fellowship to 250 young leaders. And we'll help you to expand your commercial and social ventures. We'll embed you in an American business and incubators. We'll give you as participants the chance to continue their collaboration with you in your home countries. So the idea is that you'll get a chance to implement your ideas but now have linkages that give you access to capital and research and all the things you need to mobilize and implement the kinds of things that you're doing. And this isn't charity for us. This is an investment in your future, because that means it's an investment in our future. A future where climate researchers in the Amazon can collaborate with scientists in Alaska. An idea in Barbados suddenly can be developed in an incubator in Boston. Anti-gang activities in Honduras can be connected to similar activities in Houston, Texas. It's a future where any kid from Kingston can choose a path that opens his or her horizons beyond their neighborhood to the wider world. And that impulse to make the world better, to push back on those who try to make it worse. That's something that your generation has to hold on to. And you have to remember, it's never easy, there are no days off. But if there's one thing that I know from my own life, it's that with hard work and with hope, change is always within our reach. The Jamaican-American poet Claude McKay, who was a central figure of the Harlem Renaissance, once wrote something along those lines: "We must strive on to gain the height although it may not be in sight." As long as we've got young strivers like you, and I hope to see you in Washington as part of this. Young leaders of the Americas Initiative, I'm confident that a brighter future will always be in sight. So thank you very much. With that, let's take some questions. Alright? So. Off mic. Transmission problems. President Obama, all right, since we're getting to work, I'm going to take my jacket off and get comfortable. All right. There are no rules to this except that there are people with microphones in the audience. So wait for them to come when I call on you. We're going to go boy, girl, so everybody gets a chance, so it's fair. Before your question, please introduce yourself and tell us where you are from, okay? And try to keep your question or comment relatively short so we can get more questions or comments in, okay? We'll start with this young lady right here in the white blouse. It's a little tight here. Question, thank you. Yanni Campbell PH, a lecturer at the University of the West Indies. Thank you so much for your talk, very interesting. And I wondered as well, on the Cuban issue, now that your policy has actually changed towards Cuba. I wondered about your views on how it is that we should approach CARICOM. Should approach its relationship with Cuba in terms of deepening that relationship. Should they now perhaps move to join in CARICOM? Thank you. President Obama, well, first of all, I think CARICOM can make its own decisions and we'll respect it. Cuba will be participating in the Summit of the Americas, and I think it is my strong belief that if we engage, That offers the greatest prospect for escaping some of the constraints of the past. I think the Cuban people are extraordinary and have huge potential. And what's encouraging is that the overwhelming majority of Cubans are interested in ending the cold. War, the last vestige of the Cold War, and moving forward. It's going to take some time for the United States to fully implement some of the things that have already been agreed to. And it's going to take a little bit longer before you actually have complete normal relations between the United States and Cuba. What I would say to Caribbean countries is, absolutely, you should continue to engage in Cuba in the ways that you've already done in the past. I do think that it is important for all of us to be able to speak honestly where we see concerns about issues of human rights and political freedom. And I'm not saying anything publicly that I haven't said directly to Raúl Castro. There are still constraints on the ability of the Cuban people to express themselves. Or to organize political parties, or to start a business. And sometimes, the same things we expect for ourselves and our country. Somehow we think other people don't want. But I believe each country has its own unique cultures, its own unique traditions. I don't expect every country to pursue the same policies. Or have the same political practices as the United States. And I am certainly aware of the flaws that exist in our own country that we have to fix. But I do believe there are certain principles that are universal. I think that all people want basic dignity and want basic freedom. And want to be able to worship as they please without being discriminated against. Or they should be able to speak their mind about an important issue pertaining to their community without being arrested. And so wherever we see that, we try to speak out. But what we also try to do is engage and recognize that even with countries that we have differences. There's also going to be commonality and overlap. And the United States and Cuba should both have an interest in dealing with climate change. For example, because when the oceans start lapping upon Miami or on Havana, nobody is going to distinguish, well, where do they stand on this or that ideological issue? And so we have to find where there are areas of cooperation. But I will continue to try to be consistent in speaking out on behalf of the issues that are important to all people, not just some. All right, it's a gentleman's turn. This gentleman right here. He looks very serious. He's got glasses. Looking sharp. Plus, he's got a copy of my book. So he's clearly a wise man. Question, thank you very much. My name is Chef Brian Lumley. I'm a young Jamaican chef here. And I own a restaurant 689 by Brian Lumley. Just saying. My question. To you, I'm going to stay a little bit off the politics for a bit. And I've witnessed your journey a lot, and the question is kind of two-part. If you go back and give yourself one piece of advice before the start of your 2008 term, what would it be? And the second part is if you can sign this book when you're finished. Thank you very much. President Obama, I'll sign the book. So the question was, for those couldn't hear. If I were to go back and give myself advice before I started in 2008, what would the advice be? I suppose I could have started dyeing my hair earlier so then people wouldn't say, man, he's getting old. You're going like this, at least I got hair, man. I'm teasing you. I'm messing with you. I think that keep in mind that when I came into office we were going through the worst global financial crisis since the 1930s. And so we had to make a series of decisions very quickly, many of which were unpopular. Overall, I think we got it right. I think we did the right thing. And because, I think, we took these steps. Not only were we able to avoid the kind of Great Depression that we saw in the 1930s, not only was America able to bounce back and start growing more rapidly than most of our peers, drive down unemployment faster. Create more jobs faster, but that also had an impact on the global economy and it had an impact on the Caribbean economy. That we were able to bounce back quicker than we might have if we hadn't taken those steps. But it was, I think, costly politically. And what I would have probably advised was that I might have needed to warn. The American people and paint a picture for them that was more accurate about the fact that it would take some time to dig ourselves out of a very big hole.